Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Charlotte, and in today's video I'll be taking you along with me as I share all my ratings and reviews for the books that I read in May 2025. Okay, so as you guys know, I post one of these videos about every month, and I realized in my last video, which was my April reading wrap-up, I actually included two books that I did not actually read in the month of April. I actually finished them in the month of May, and somehow I just got confused and included them in the April video. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly talk about those first, but if you do want a full review on these, I did mention them in the previous video. The first one was The AI Incident by J.E. Thomas. Like I said before, this is my first arc read, and I did rate this a 3-star. It wasn't my favorite, but I did think there were some elements that I liked. It just wasn't as well executed as I was hoping and felt a little bit slow and boring at times for a middle grade book. So yeah, I rated this one a 3-star, and I do plan on posting a full review on it, but if you want a more complete review that's already out in my April reading wrap-up, I do talk about this one for a while. Okay, so the second book that I finished in May but talked about in the April video was The Maid by Kiara Cass. This was literally just one scene, but it was called a novella, so I'm not really counting this towards my reading goal or any of that, but I rated it a 4-star. It was actually a scene that we knew nothing about from the selection, so I felt like it was a helpful novella and it wasn't just a scene written from another character's perspective. So I did really enjoy this one, and it was super short, so I just rated it a 4-star. So I'm beginning to think that I talked about this one in my April reading wrap-up, but this was the book that holds all the selection novellas and some other scenes as well. I did, again, finish this one in May, and I think I talked about it in my other video, so if you are interested in seeing that, go ahead and check it out. I genuinely don't think anyone is a big fan of this book, just because some of the novellas are very repetitive and they don't feel that different from the scenes in the book, but I did enjoy a few of them, like I talked about previously, so I guess that makes 3 books that I'm talking about again. But the first actual book that I read in May was my 2 or 2.5 star read, We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. And you're probably not surprised to see me hating on this book because this is a very controversial book, and that's why I wanted to read it. This book is either very, very loved, or people just really like me don't understand the hype and find the whole thing just really confusing. I got to the end and it wasn't the big shocking moment we were all expecting. It took a very different turn. I don't want to spoil anything, but it was very different than I was expecting. I rated this a 2.5 star because there was some content in here that I didn't agree with, and I did feel like the whole book was just very sad, except it was set in this beautiful location, so I just couldn't figure out how I really felt about it. And I don't want to hate on this book too much because I really don't like when I see people hating on classics or books of the Bible that they just don't understand, so they rate them really low. And I could be one of these people that I'm not understanding this book, but I have talked to a lot of other people and they do agree with me that this book was just odd in general, and we don't think it's us not understanding it because it is fiction and we just really don't get what the author was trying to express through this book. I did finish it though because I was just hoping that there would be a moment that really got me to go, oh, everything made sense. But when everything was slowly being explained, it just wasn't what I was hoping, or it wasn't something that was super exciting. It was just kind of like, oh, that's just a kind of weird ending that it took. So I really don't know what to say about this book in the sense of my rating. Like I said, a 2 or 2.5 star because it was extremely boring, very hard to get through, and there was never anything happy that happened. It was just very depressing book. So I did rate this a 2 or 2.5 star. I wouldn't recommend it, especially because there was some content I didn't agree with in here, but I am glad that I read it so I can kind of give you guys my review because I did have some people requesting for me to read and review this, so that's my review. And comment down below what you think of this book if you've read it because I'm really curious. Next we have Once Upon a Thriller. This was a Nancy Drew Diaries book, and I didn't really know much about the Nancy Drew Diaries book except I had a follower request to do a little collab where we each read this book because it's one of their favorites. So I did pick this up from my library because it's not usually the kind of book that I read. I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite. I didn't feel like it was as good as the OG Nancy Drew books, like I'll talk about in a minute. I rated this one a 3-star. Again, this was just not a very good reading month for me in the sense of reading a lot of books or finding a lot of 5 stars. I really did not enjoy how much the main character Nancy lied in this book. I felt like it was just overly done, and there was a bunch of times she did not have to lie and she did. And I actually was talking to another one of my followers who said as a kid she was not even allowed to read this series because a lot of like bad morals were in it, and I was very surprised about that because I really enjoyed the OG Nancy Drew books growing up. Those were super fun. I actually have a whole shelf of them at the top. I think I've come to the conclusion that I personally have outgrown the Nancy Drew books, and don't come at me for this because I still love reading middle grade. I probably read middle grade more than any other genre, so it's not like I've outgrown middle grade. I just feel like I've kind of outgrown the Nancy Drew world. So yeah, this was not my favorite book, but I tried to read it with an open mind, knowing that it was for a younger audience, and in that sense, it was pretty good. I did enjoy the setting. It was on a lake, it was a good length, and it was easy to understand, but it still had a pretty solid mystery to it, so it's definitely not a book that I hated, but it wouldn't be one that I recommended. I would really recommend the older Nancy Drew books, the original series, just because I feel like those can also be understood by a younger crowd, but they're just a lot better written, and yeah, that's just kind of my review for that. I rated Once Upon a Thriller 3 stars, but I did still enjoy it. Okay, so I did actually have a 5-star this month, which was Spies by James Ponti. Okay, so this was a reread for me, and originally I rated this a 5-star a few years ago when I was into Spies, so I decided to pick it back up again to listen to on audiobook, because I like to listen to books that I've already read on audio, and oh my goodness, this was better than me reading it for the first time. This was like a 6-star read. It was just such a perfect book. Again, I have to say this every video, but if you guys want content reviews of everything in a book that could bother a person, I do write full in-depth content reviews on all of that over on Goodreads, so make sure to go follow me there. But this book was so good. I loved the morals, I loved all the content, I absolutely loved the adult figures, especially the main 2 adults in this book. I absolutely loved each character, each of the 4 kids that were spies. They are all so different from each other, and they all learn to use what they're best at to be a spy, and I really enjoyed the representation of a character who was chosen to be a spy even though he struggles with school. Personally, I struggle with school, and I feel like just because you're not amazing at school does not mean you're not smart in other areas of your life, and I felt like this was a very relatable character for me, Rio, from this book, and I'm really glad that kids get an opportunity to read about all the different kinds of smartness there is out there, because we had a girl who was really good at computer coding, Rio was really good at life skills, we had Kat who was really good at math, we had so many other characters in this book as well, and I felt like I just enjoyed reading about them so much. Again, this book did not read young to me. I see a lot of reviews, people were like, oh, I just feel like I would have enjoyed this when I was younger, but for me, this just read in a timeless writing style that I feel like a lot of people can enjoy. They travel to different countries, you get to learn a lot of geography from this, but it's not like they're trying to teach you it just fits the story so well. So I learned, I met so many fun characters, every scene was so entertaining, and I loved the ending, and I will definitely be rereading the rest of this series, and there are still books coming out from this, which I think is amazing, and I'm so excited to continue the City Spies series because wow, what an amazing book. Okay, and to finish off this video, we have Wednesdays in the Tower by Jessica Day George. I recently read Jessica Day George's first book in the series, Tuesdays at the Castle, as a reread, and that was a 5-star. This one I did rate a 4.5 star, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But again, I just want to let you know that this is a reread series for me. This is probably my favorite fantasy series ever. Maybe this tied with The False Prince, or maybe even above The False Prince, if I can say that. But this also might be because it has some nostalgia for me, but this is such a fun fantasy series. I love our characters. I love all of the excitement, and I love the magic system in this book because they live in a castle that changes the rooms around and communicates to them, so it's not like evil magic if you don't want to read about that as a Christian. I just feel like it's fun magic, and I don't feel like it's replacing a god or anything, or there's anything too dark and evil. Maybe as the series goes on there might be a little bit, I don't remember, but I did just finish this one. I rated it a 4.5 star. I enjoyed this one. It just did not have the 5-star feel. I feel like this book did not bore me because I listened to part of it, but I feel like there was some scenes at the beginning when they were training the Griffin. This isn't a spoiler, it starts that way. And I felt like that could be a little bit boring for people, just like following the life of the Griffin. But for me, I felt like it wasn't overdone, it wasn't too many chapters, it was still entertaining. And personally, what I enjoy about this book, the first 3/4 of it is so chill. It's not high stakes, it's not high fantasy, and then you get to the last 1/4 of it and it is just like the world's about to end. It's super high stakes, super high fantasy, and I kind of like that, but again, I feel like some people would like a more consistent plot and story, but I feel like it was written like this on purpose, and in my opinion, that is just Jessica's writing style for the series, which I find unique and enjoy reading about. But yeah, that's my review for this, a 4.5 star, and I will be continuing to reread the series. Okay, that is all for my May reading wrap-up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for lots of summer content that will be coming your way. I'm super excited for that. Make sure to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Go view my YouTube shorts, follow me on my other socials. Everything is linked down below. Email me if you want to send me your book. I love reading ARCs, and even if your book's already published. So yeah, that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and have an amazing rest of your day. Bye everyone!